what's happened in terms of premium publishers, premium broadcasters moving into more of a programmatic scenario? Give us a little perspective on how that whole process accelerated to where it's now and where it might be going.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride since we started in 2007. And obviously programmatic didn't exist back in 2007, really started to come around as RTB in 2010. It was really used as a tactic to buy audience in these big open marketplaces. However, over time, the buyers started to utilize this to actually buy more premium inventory. So to mix audience-based buying with real-time measurement and accessing more premium inventory. And what happened in turn was they're willing to pay higher CPMs. And I think that's really the tipping point, right? Of course, you're not going to convince a premium publisher to buy their inventory on a programmatic basis if the buyer isn't willing to pay the CPMs that they feel that that the publisher feels that it's worth. So what's interesting, and we've started to see this especially in the past 6 months, I think, is that we've seen these premium publishers start to launch these private marketplaces, and there's a lot of control around the private marketplace. Who's invited? How much do you have to spend at a minimum? How much do you have to bid on a minimum? But also there's a lot of transparency on who the advertisers are. I think a combination of all that, what we've seen is that some of these private marketplaces are actually garnering CPMs that are about 25% higher in some cases than their direct sales. So I think that's really what the tipping point has been about, is the publishers have that control. They can maintain the same control that they have with their direct sales teams, but now they can make more money, and that's obviously always the key for them.
And Mike, you're expanding the business, you're changing the business, you've launched this outstream or in-context sort of video units in text. Tell us about that, how that'll complement what had been, video ad buys in a traditional player, and sort of what the opportunities are there.
Yeah, I think part of that rebrand from Spot Exchange to SpotX is also highlighting that we're not just doing pre-roll video ads. We're not just working with video publishers. There's a lot of traditional publishers out there that have great content obviously they write the newspapers and magazines, and they want to actually access these brand dollars. And so these in-content units, which are both mobile and desktop, are a great opportunity to do that. They're units that are embedded in the content. They play muted. It's very similar to the news feeds on Facebook. They play muted, and if the ad is engaging, you can hover over it to hear the sound, or you can click on it. So that just represents a dramatic expansion of the SpotX business, because we haven't been able to work with those types of publishers, and this really represents for us kind of saying, hey, listen, we're a video ad server, that modern ad server, for any video creative that you have, whether it's in content, whether it's a whole page takeover, whether it's a pre-roll, whether it's in your apps. Our platform is going to allow you to manage all of your video inventory across all of that.
And Mike, finally, getting back to the, being here in New Mexico, give us your thoughts about what's going on in Europe as your business has expanded in the last year since we saw you. You had this gigantic majority ownership by RTL. What's going on with Europe? What are the opportunities, and how do you see things playing out here?
Yeah, I mean, Europe collectively is a really big market, of course. It may not collectively have the scale that the U.S. has, but it's definitely the next biggest market. For us, the RTL partnership has certainly helped quite a bit. This past year, we've opened our office in Amsterdam. We now have 15 people there. We've opened our office in Germany, like in Hamburg. I think we have 6 or 7 people now. But Europe, of course, also has its challenges, right? So you have to actually work each individual country. But when you look at the market again overall, I think we are also looking at an inflection point with programmatic as well. We just released a research paper with IHS, where they were citing that the growth from 2012 to 2015 I think it's grown 20 times. From 2015 to 2020, it's supposed to grow 40% every year, and by 2020, half of all video advertising will be programmatic. And we're talking about a market that'll be about $2 billion by that point, the programmatic video ad market. So that's really impressive. And I think the other thing to look at is Germany. You know, in our interviews, when IHS was doing the interviews with a number of the participants, a lot of people cited Germany as kind of that sleeping giant. Only 9% of their video advertising today is programmatic. But it's the largest market, digital market in Europe. Second, if you take out paid search, behind the UK. In that report, they say by 2020, it could be 40, maybe even 50% of the overall market. So what's going to happen in Germany? This giant market, it's huge. It's going to hit this tipping point. So we're really happy here at Demexco to announce that we've basically formed an exclusive partnership with IPD. It's an RTL company. It's one of the largest sales houses in Germany, where we're creating a premium marketplace of video content that's unsold. Any unsold inventory will enter this marketplace, and that's huge for us. That's like forming a joint partnership with NBC for unsold inventory in the U.S. So we're doing that here in Germany. I think to that point, it's a sleeping giant. Once that hits that tipping point, we're going to be able to really take advantage of that.